Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be recapping our reviews for the month of February 2025. This video will feature three things: a discussion of our favorite coffee this month, as well as any honorable mentions, our upcoming coffee of the month, and anything else pertaining to this channel that we feel is worth discussing or addressing. So let's go and get started with our honorable mentions. And as always, these are in order of when we reviewed them on this channel. And first up, we have the Kambu, the wash processed Kenya from Wesson Gopi, based out of Shah Alam, Malaysia. And let me start with this real quick. This was a little bit of a down month for us, as I wouldn't consider any of the coffees that we're going to be discussing this month as strong contenders to make it into our top 10 coffees of 2025 list. As a matter of fact, there were some coffees that we reviewed this month that I really did not like. So if anything, we have plenty of contenders for my least favorite coffee of 2025. That being said, as far as this coffee goes, it did exceed my expectations, and we've discussed Wesson Gopi a lot over the last couple of months, and there's been a fair bit of inconsistency, and you'll see that from some of the reviews we have coming up in the near future. That being said, I did enjoy this Kenyan coffee, as I do continue to enjoy the Kenyan coffees that they have offered, at least the ones that we've tried up to this moment, as this one was a bit more in line with my own preferences, a little bit cleaner, a little bit more sweet, and lacking that tomato-like aspect. So for that reason, I would say that this was one of my favorite coffees this month. However, this one is no longer available for purchase. Next up, we have the Bergwu, the wash processed Ethiopia, also from Wesson Gopi, out of Shah Alam, Malaysia. And of the coffees that we did review from Wesson Gopi in the purchase that we made, I do have to say that this is my favorite of those coffees, and the one that I heard the most positive feedback on as well, as I found this one to have some really nice clarity and definition to it, by far the best and most well-defined of the coffees that we did discuss from them. And I also heard some feedback from other people saying that they found this to be one of the more enjoyable coffees they've had from Wesson Gopi recently. And while it's not necessarily to the same level as the Benchmade Lucy Station that we reviewed last year, I do have to say that this one was really nice given those wild inconsistencies we've had from this coffee roaster over the last couple of months. So I do hope that we get more coffees from them like this in the future. This one also is no longer available for purchase. And that takes us to our next coffee, which is the El Socorro Gesha, the wash processed Guatemala from April Coffee Roasters out of Copenhagen, Denmark. And the box is still pretty badly damaged, but I still appreciate the effort that Kyle went to bring us this coffee. And this one right here was very nice, and it did play a significant role in where we placed April on our most recent European coffee roaster tier list, as the last couple of coffees that I have had from them have been very enjoyable, including this one. And this is a coffee that we received well past its intended roast day. That being said, it held up exceptionally well and offered some really enjoyable clarity, as this was one of the cleanest coffees that we've reviewed this year. And that does continue to show that April is one of the more enjoyable coffee roasters for myself, at least as far as Nordic-based coffee roasters do go. So this one right here was a standout, and as of the coffees that we're recapping this month, this is the only one still available for purchase. And that takes us to my favorite coffee this month, and that is going to be the Enrique Moreno, the wash processed Ecuador from Say Coffee out of Brooklyn, New York. And unsurprising that a Mejorado takes our top spot, but we did review a couple of Mejorados this month, and this one was by far my favorite of those, as this one did offer a slightly different and unique profile, as it does continue to give me the notion that Mejorado coffees are a lot of what I'm looking for wash processed coffees. They still have that immense clarity while at the same time offering a higher level of sweetness without sacrificing any of that clarity. And this one right here was surprisingly jammy for a wash processed coffee, as I could have been fooled into thinking that this was either an exceptionally clean natural processed coffee or just a very well executed and very sweet wash processed coffee, as I do want to give massive credit to the producer on this one, as I've also heard positive things about the Sidra that was also released from this producer. So that's to say, massive credit to the producer in general, as it sounds like they're releasing some really enjoyable coffees. And for us, this one mostly stood out due to the unique profile that it did have for a Mejorado coffee. We usually associate those with having those brown candy-like attributes. This one, on the other hand, had that very wild strawberry-like feel to it. So once again, massive credits to everyone involved in this coffee. And that takes us to our upcoming coffee of the month, and that is the El Cerro, the wash processed Peru from H&S Coffee Roasters out of Laramie, Wyoming. And this coffee is still available for purchase. And not only have we not opened this bag of coffee, but we also purchased the other 2 coffees that H&S did release, one of which was that extended wash processed Colombian coffee, and the other was the Rwandan coffee. And the main reason we purchased both of those was because I was curious to see what one of my favorite coffee roasters in H&S could do with a, looks like high-scoring Rwandan coffee. And in addition to that, that Colombian coffee also sounded very nice. But I did have some mixed feelings about H&S winning this most recent Coffee of the Month poll, and that's because I do expect us to review a lot of H&S coffees this year in general, as I'm sure they're going to be releasing a number of coffees that will be strong contenders for our favorite coffee of the entirety of 2025. And while I do think that these Peru Geishas have a very high ceiling, as that will be demonstrated this upcoming month with our review of the La Lima, a different wash-processed Peruvian coffee from H&S, I did want to kind of limit myself in reviewing those coffees and looking for stuff that might be a little bit more in line with my own preferences. So maybe some future Ecuadorian releases, if they bring back the natural processed Mejorado that they released last year that we didn't get an opportunity to review, or maybe even something different. And those are the coffees that I'm going to gravitate towards a little bit more. And Airworks will be working with H&S here in the near future as well, and we've already signed up for picking up a couple of those coffees as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. There will be plenty of H&S content here in the near future, but as mentioned, that's pretty much the main reason why I wasn't entirely sure I wanted them to win the Coffee of the Month poll, but obviously I'm very excited to be reviewing more H&S coffees. And then that takes us into the last thing I wanted to discuss, and this is just kind of an idea that I'm going to float out there. Given that we've kind of fixed some of the audio issues we've had with our live streams, I was wondering if you guys would be interested in maybe doing a community-based coffee roaster tier list, as I feel like if we did that as a live stream, kind of created a poll where people could vote on where they wanted each of those coffee roasters to go in their respective spot, then that way we might have a good idea of what the community feels about certain coffee roasters as opposed to just my own opinion. And I do think that that would make for a much more helpful guide for people that are also curious about not just our own preferences, where we align with those specific coffee roasters, but where a lot of other people feel those coffee roasters belong. It would be kind of interesting to go back and with some of the American and Canadian coffee roaster tier lists, pick out the ones that I think people would be most interested in ranking, as same thing with the European coffee roasters. So let me know. I'm sure you guys, at least some of you, would be interested in that, but if there's enough interest, then it's definitely something that I would want to do at some point in the future. That's going to end this one. Thank you everybody for all the support. I greatly appreciate it. And this right here has been a recap of our reviews for the month of February 2025. Thank you for watching.